All right, it's February 24th. I have to get to work here pretty soon, but I got a little bit of time to film. So, thought I would talk about the last few days. We are at the beginning of week 4 of the Candito 6-week strength program. So it is winding up. It's getting close. Man, squats today, my nemesis. When the hell did that happen? I mean, I'm struggling with weights that aren't even my openers. I got to thinking, is it possible that I'm overthinking things too much? I did something I haven't done in a very long time, and that is I took a day off. And when I say a day off, I don't mean like, I didn't lift today, so I did some cardio or hit the bag. I did nothing. I didn't do chores. I turned my phone off. No social media. I didn't call any friends. I didn't even help clean around the house. And luckily, my wife wasn't feeling very good, so she was on board with me. So we did nothing, and I mean nothing. We didn't go to the store, nothing. I did absolutely nothing. And being unplugged, not watching YouTube or messing around with Messenger or whatever, I actually had time to really think about things. I kind of went through like a little mini existential crisis. So, first, the beginning of the day, I was, beating myself up and trying to figure out what I was doing wrong, and then I was talking to everybody and trying to get their opinions, and I was stressing about it. And then I just I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm an amateur lifter. For all intents and purposes, I'm doing a local meet. It really doesn't mean anything. It means a lot to me, but in the grand scheme of things, what are we stressing about? So I just forgot about it. I just set it down and said, I'll think about it later. And like all things, usually when you stop obsessing about it, that's when the answers come. And it just hit me. The little light bulb went off. Probably while I was sitting on the toilet reading a shampoo bottle because I didn't have my phone. I'm doing what I'm doing wrong. I talked about it in a previous video, and we'll see today. I get to test that theory out. I think me not opening up my hips is... most people, if you look at the femur bone, it has a natural impingement in the hips at a certain depth, depending on how much you have your legs spread out. And to clear that impingement, you can spread your stance out or open your hips up. And that's usually like a narrow thing. So that's where that butt wink comes from. If you ever seen squatting, the little butt wink that people do where their butt tucks under? That's the impingement. That means their femur's striking their hips, and now the hips are moving under to get depth. And the way you clear that is you open up your hips, and it clears the ball joints of your femurs. It allows the hips to sink in between them. And the anatomy is a little bit different for everybody. There's like a bell curve where we all have an average, and most people it's like a medium shoulder width distance of the feet. Some people it's a little closer, some people it's a little farther. Those are the people on the outside of the bell curve, the outliers. And for me, it's pretty narrow, I would say. A little bit less than shoulder width, which is one of the reasons why I squat pretty narrow to begin with. I used to squat a lot wider. If you look at my rack, you can see those orange feet painted on the ground. That was my old squat stance before I got injured. But because of my injury, I compensated by bringing my feet closer together, and for the longest time, I was basically one leg squatting. I had my feet close together, and I was allowing the dominant leg to do most of the lifting. But that's a really psychotic way to do it. And then after a while, I got the other leg caught back up again, and for the most part, I'm balanced. But I still have one side still a little bit weaker than the other. So it's pretty incredible if you think about it. I basically have one leg that's doing probably 65% of the work. Regardless of all that, we'll see tonight when I do squats. I'm just not going to stress about it. It's either going to go or it's not. And I know I have the strength, so I did bench last night, and bench has been going really well. So that was good to get my head back in the game. I kind of went through the whole thing of once again I was confronted with why am I doing this at my age? Like, what is the point? What are you trying to prove? And I don't know. People keep asking me that question, and the answer I have is because I want to. I don't know why. This is all I can tell you guys. You know, as you age, your body gets older, but your mind doesn't. Like, I don't know about you guys. I can only speak for myself, but I don't feel mentally any different than I did in my 20s. The only difference is my body now betrays me, and I got to be super careful. I go out there feeling like just like I did when I was 25, 30, you know, the same motivation, the same enthusiasm. And in my mind, mentally, like it's not until I actually put the weight on my back and feel the, you know, crunching of the knees and the pain and all that crap where I quickly reminded, like, oh yeah, I'm not in my 20s anymore. You know what I mean? But for all intents and purposes, like, you know, I just don't look in the mirror and see a guy my age. I just don't feel it. I feel it. I don't know. It's like life's cruel trick. You know, somebody told me, it's like, you know, you shouldn't look at aging as a curse. It's like you didn't. It's like you're not screwed because you lived at 50. You lived at 50. You're lucky. You made it this far. You still have all your teeth. You still have your hair. And you're in reasonable shape. Like, you have nothing to complain about. True. You know, if you want to look at it like that. But I still want to do stuff. And it's getting harder and harder. And, you know, at what point, like, do you just grow old gracefully? You know, like, settle for just maintaining decent physical shape? But at what point does that become a struggle? You know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll get to the age where just, like, doing a basic workout's going to be like a powerlifting meet. I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is, like, I feel pretty good today. And for today, I'm not going to worry about it. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. I feel young and I feel old at the same time. It's one of those life's cruel tricks. Like, Father Time's undefeated. I don't have to tell you. Like, we're all going down at some point. Are we going down swinging? Or are you just going to go with the flow and just let it happen? I don't know. I don't know what the right thing to do is. So, a quick summary of today's workout. I basically worked up to 330 pounds for 3 sets of 4-2-6. I think I got like 5, 4, and 5. That's right. It's right in the middle, right where I need to be. I realized without a spotter, I was kind of leaving one in the tank. So, you know, ever since I pinned myself on the rack, I've been a little gun shy about going to failure. So I got my wife for the last set so I could actually take it to that last rep. And, you know, hey, for accessories, I did snatch presses and heavy cable rows. Wibbity-doo. What to talk about? I'm going through my comment section. I don't really, man, you guys got to give me something. You know, every once in a while I get some really good comments that are very thought-provoking. And I did have a couple that probably warrant their own videos, but I want to keep this one kind of short, so I was just kind of scrolling through, and Runner Boy said he was commenting on the video where I, as a joke, put 205 pounds on the football bar and did a quick set of 3 or 4 overhead press. And he responds with, West Coast said this isn't strict overhead press, yet all he jumps, heels come up. So I guess me as a joke putting up 205 pounds just to prove I could do it for like a set of 3. He moved the goalpost and said, well, you weren't strict enough. And I keep thinking, like, man, this guy just keeps moving the goalpost. First, I threw the challenge out, hey, bench 370 without your ass coming off the bench, which he never did, by the way. He never met that. So he came back with, well, you can't overhead press 205 pounds. So I threw overhead press 205 pounds up. It's like 3 or 4 times, whatever. You know, I could have kept going. No, they're not strict enough. And then it was, you can't power clean 225. I'm like, okay, so power clean 225. We probably could have done 10 or 15 or who knows how many. And I'm sure those weren't strict enough either. And probably because I don't really do those exercises and I don't really know how to properly, do them with good form. So it's just, I'm really just kind of chucking weight around. But I responded to Runner Boy. I was like, dude, he keeps moving the goalposts. Like, at what point, where are we going to end up? Like tibialis curls? Like, to see who can curl the most weight with their toes? You know, like, you're just going to keep working down to, like, the most obscure exercise before, like, he's finally got one that he can say he's the strongest ever. Like, I just, like, dude, I have to focus on my program, so I can't play anymore. Maybe after the meet, we can mess around. But until this meet's over, I just I got to stay focused and honed in. And we can have some fun afterwards. So after the meet, if you guys want to mess around and do like some little challenge stuff, I'm totally down to do that. The only thing I'm going to say though is that you should probably pick on people that do the same exercises as you. So pick a lift that everybody does. Otherwise, it's like my son has a friend who is always trying to beat him at everything, but he only picks things he knows he's good at. Like, he's a swimmer, he's on the swim team, so he's bragging that he could beat my son in like the butterfly, and he's really like bragging to everybody like, I'm a way better swimmer than you. And I'm like, bro, you're in the swim team, my son isn't. Like, why are you bragging? So what I did is I got the deadlift bar out and I said, here, neither of you do this, right? Well, my son does a little bit, but I was like, here you go. There's something neither of you do. Let's see who's stronger. Bam, right there on the spot. And they were about neck and neck. And then we did some other challenges like that. And like every time he bragged about being able to do something that he knows he's really good at and that none of his friends do, I would call him out and be like, no, you got to pick something that everybody does or no one does. It's like, either nobody's done this before and we're going to see who the best, or it's something you all do competitively and you're on equal footing. But you don't pick the thing you know that you do that nobody else does and then say that you're better than everybody. I mean, that's like, no, you would hope you were. Like, if you weren't, what would be wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like me. So you don't see, I don't know. You kids, I love you guys. In other news, they were asking, some of my friends have been asking, like, what am I going to do after this competition, assuming I do well. And I told them, I think it's time for me to take a break. I've done meets back to back to back, and I've pushed it way, way, way farther than I'd ever planned on. And at a certain point, there's got to be a break. Will I compete at nationals or worlds this year? I don't know. I know I'm going to qualify unless there's something catastrophic that happens during this competition and I bomb out of the meet. Even if I do poorly, I will still do well enough to qualify to lift at worlds. I'm sure of it. Will I? I don't know. It's like last year it was in Oregon, so it wasn't that much of a stretch to fly up there. This one is going to be, I think, in Niagara, New York, and it would be awesome to see the falls. I would love to take the family to see that. But regardless, no matter what I do, I'm definitely going to take some time off and let myself heal. And I'm gonna focus on martial arts, fighting. I really want to hone in on that. I think I want to drop down to like 190. Right now I'm the heaviest I've been, and it is a little rough on the knees. I mean, it's cool to carry this, that's cool and all, but the more you weigh, the harder it is on your joints and with all the walking I do at work. I felt really, really good when I was like 190 to 195, and I was competing for a long time at that weight class, 198. And I was strong. I was plenty strong. So I think dropping down, slimming down, getting off all the supplements to the bare minimum, and just letting myself find a true equilibrium and get back to, being nimble, quick. And I want to just see if I can take this old beat up body in another direction and prove that I could do something that I'm not good at. I want to get better at it. I want to see what I can do. Is that a fool errand? Probably. But I'm going to do it anyway. You guys can follow me if you want. Watch me make a complete total ass out of myself. You might even maybe see me get my ass kicked. That'll be fun, right? All right. I love you guys. I got to get to work. Throw me a like, throw me a subscription. I made you laugh, made you smile. We'll see you on the battlefield.